So, hi, this is John Kremer. It appears that nobody could make it tonight for my birthday, even. So, I'm going to do a little recording and just give you some highlights of what I've been doing lately, and perhaps we can do another Q&A session at some point. Give you guys more advanced notice. I guess 24 hours notice or 20-hour notice isn't enough for many of you. So I did want to tell you a little bit about a new book that I'm going to be releasing in the next week, or probably in the next week. It's called Write a Bestseller in 30 Days or Less. 111 kinds of books you can write fast with examples. And so it's basically a book about what are the different possibilities in terms of what you can write. And, part of what I wanted to do is expand people's um, possibilities. Whoops, there's somebody. Okay, just a minute. Okay.
John, can you hear me?
Hi, Frank.
Oh, hi. How are you, John?
At least you're. Oh, there it is. I see something, a dark blob.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just
But I can't
I
hear
was
you.
on a
You
hike and I'm
connected
just walking
somehow.
back, but I'll be in the light in just a little bit. But I couldn't get my video to work for some reason, but it's finally
There's somebody
working.
else. Hey, Terry.
Hey, John. Yeah, come on in. Come on.
And
Well,
This is John Kremer.
Oh, yeah.
He's having video. Okay. Oh, this. Okay.
Yeah, I know. We go with
I
this.
know why I can't.
With this.
Or this.
Okay.
The reason I couldn't hear people is I didn't
Huh?
have my
Ready,
speaker.
right?
Yeah, I
Big
think so.
shrimp, okay?
Yeah. Oh, good.
great.
So, Frank, you still look very, very dark.
Well, I'm walking back from a trail,
okay.
but I'll be in the light in just a little bit.
All right. And Terry, are you set to go?
I'm set to go.
go.
Are you serving drinks?
I have some coffee here for one person.
By the way, John, happy birthday.
Yes, thank you. And hi, David.
Hi, John.
So anyway, so some people did finally show up. Hopefully we're doing okay. So I know it was short notice, and I just wanted to give people a chance to ask questions. I try to do this every year on my birthday, and today's my birthday. I'm 76 today.
All right.
Fantastic.
I liked it when I could play the Beatles song, When I'm 64.
Well,
Right.
now you can play 76 trombones.
Okay, I didn't think of that. So I'm glad I remembered to turn on my speaker so I could hear you guys. So I wanted to give people a chance to ask questions on book marketing, if you have any. If you don't, we can chit chat and I can tell you a little bit about the new book I'm going to release sometime later this week.
Oh, that sounds exciting.
It's called Write a Bestseller in 30 Days or Less. 111 pieces of content you can write fast with examples.
Oh, that's good.
And I originally just was going to call it the Book Authority Guide on What to Write. But then I read something that said, no, you should have a snazzy title.
Sure.
So I went with Write a Bestseller in 30 days or less.
Okay, that's good. You mean you read something that said that, or you knew that in your heart? John,
Well,
you're the
I
expert.
always knew that, but I always liked to just title it whatever dang thing I wanted to call it. I'm a bad boy that way.
You're a badass. Yeah. Is this a Kindle book or a print book or what?
It'll be both.
Good.
Now with KDP, you can create a Kindle book and then automatically turn it into a very quickly into a print book,
Uh-huh.
both paperback and hardcover,
Okay.
and audio with artificial intelligence voices that actually sound human.
Yes.
So
So John, you like the AI voice?
the ones that Kindle used, not the old ones. The new Kindle voices are actually quite good. So if
Because
it's
I
good,
would love to use that. I was not looking forward to sitting in front of a mic for 12 hours or something.
no, in fact, if you have the kind of book that lends itself to being read,
Yeah.
some books that I've done, they don't really lend themselves to being read. The book that I did earlier, last year on, I forget what it was called, 60, why you should write a book. And I gave something like 65 reasons why you should write a book. That one wouldn't lend itself to an audio very good, I don't think.
Right.
But this one, Write a Bestseller in 30 days or less, it's good content. It's 217 pages.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I actually wrote it in about 10 days, but I've spent a couple months now trying to finish the last little touches.
Uh-huh.
So sometimes it's easier to write a book fast, but then those little things that you want to make better can take time
Yep.
sometimes.
Yep.
So I actually want to do a course on teaching people 50 ways to write a book in 10 days or less.
Okay. John, have you looked at the competition, the other players out there doing similar things?
I've looked at some of the things, but so many of them are AI oriented.
Uh-huh.
And I really don't think ChatGPT is up to writing a good book.
Right. Okay.
I think it can be used for research. I think it could be used for short chapters, blog posts, some things like that. But, a book that's going to actually represent you as an expert, I don't think ChatGPT does a good job with it.
Right. Right.
And the thing is that what I would be teaching you is 50 ways to write a book to display your expertise, to become an expert in an area, and
Right.
to help people to actually become these books that you would write in 10 days or less are not books that are necessarily going to be a bestseller. They're not
Right.
books that you necessarily sell in a bookstore, but they're books that you can give away for free to establish your authority or to sell for low cost.
Uh-huh. Yep.
And that's what I'm looking at is 50 kinds of books. For example, one of the books that I wrote a number of years ago was 501 words on marketing.
Okay.
It was actually 501 words.
Oh boy.
And but it was actually a good book. It included graphics and images and so on.
Uh-huh.
And so it became, to me, it was a good book. it would establish, my authority in terms of marketing, and it's something you could easily give away or sell for a little bit of money.
Mm-hmm.
I also did a book on 501 words or less on love and romance.
Oh boy.
And I actually thought it was a good book.
Uh-huh.
So both of those books are up on Amazon now. I don't think I've sold very many, but I haven't really promoted it that effectively yet.
Yeah. John, I'm on Amazon now. I'm looking at the book authority guide and some samples. I like the way you have an image for each of those reasons.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. That's one of the ways that you can create a book in 10 days or less, is that you have some good content and the rest of the content is images.
Right,
And,
right.
you can use, I use PowerPoint to create my images. I create a template that I want to use, and then I create images off of that template.
Okay.
It takes me about 5 minutes to create an image. It's
Mhm.
actually quicker and easier than using any of the AI programs out there to create images.
Mhm.
But again, you could use AI programs to create images. But again, then you run into one problem, because one of the questions Amazon and KDP ask you when you publish to KDP,
Right,
they say, is this content AI generated?
right.
And that's going to give you a black mark on Amazon. I'm sorry, but it will.
Do you think so?
I think it will. I mean, I understand that they're offering to do an AI voice for you of your
Mhm.
book, but using AI to create the content, they're going to consider it uh, among the class of Amazon has probably 500,000 books on there that were
Right.
written by ChatGPT, and most of them are lousy
Mhm.
and they don't sell. And so Amazon's going to look at it and go, well, if it's AI generated, it's probably not going to sell any better than these other ones. So why feature it?
Right. I heard a formula somebody used. It said when you use, okay, 10% of your effort should be in coming up with a good outline and who the reader is and the reasons, et cetera, et cetera. And then 80% is letting AI generate it. And the last 10% is then you edit it and put it in your voice, but use some of the best ideas. Now, I don't know how you would respond to Amazon in that case, because you have, you put your own intellectual authority into it.
Right. Well, I would tell them at that point, I wouldn't tell them it was AI generated.
Right. Right.
Uh, I would consider that using AI to do the research and to help you to you might use it to help you outline a book, things like that, and then do some
Right.
research. But I think that if you're going to use AI, you still have to use your noggin to create
Oh,
the book
absolutely.
that somebody would actually want to read.
Sure.
And I think it's important to be in your voice. I think that that's a crucial part of it. So I really think that people. So I'm not a big fan of AI for writing books, but I
Mhm.
do know that writing a blog post, that can be okay. But I did a blog post about a year ago where I took they have these programs or websites where they'll check to see if the blog post is written by AI,
Yeah.
and I gave them one of my blog posts,
No.
and people two of them said it was AI,
Hmm.
and two of them said it was not AI, and the third one said it's an absolutely good, well-written book, not AI at all, blog post. But it's curious how they judged it differently,
Mhm.
and they don't really explain to you why they thought it was AI.
Right.
So you can't really judge it on that basis. But I think, one place where I think people could use AI more effectively would be in marketing a book,
Mm,
both in terms of writing the sales copy, again, but as you said, you let them write the sales copy for you, and then you take it and you put it into your own words. And that can be effective. But one of the tough things, and I have a friend that Daniel Hall, and he's working with another guy, and I'm going blank on his name right now. But they're showing some what they call formulas for using
Mm.
ChatGPT to write
right.
a good author bio
Yep.
and to write good sales copy for Amazon. And they have their formulas, they ask ChatGPT, they really delineate what they want out of it. If you ask a simple question of ChatGPT, they're going to give you back something very simple.
Right.
But if you actually lay down a number of rules and what things you want and then go finer detail with it and finer detail with it, you can sometimes get good content. But
Right.
where I would use, so if you're not good at writing sales copy, you're not good at writing your Amazon book copy, some things like that, or you're stuck writing your own bio, use AI to get you going.
Right.
Use AI to start writing it, and then at some point, make the decision to go from there to take it to another level
Right.
in your own words.
Yeah.
And I think that can be effective. But where I really think AI can be very effective is in marketing and doing research for the areas that you might want to market in.
Right.
Finding the podcasters that might actually be interested in what you're doing.
Oh,
Now
that's
you
good.
can
Yeah.
go to, there are a couple great podcast directories out there, matchmaker.fm and listennotes.com.
Okay,
And
good.
both of them are excellent. I use them all the time to find, and I found some great guests that way for my own podcast.
What was the first
But,
one? First one, John?
Matchmaker.fm.
Okay.
And the other one is listennotes.com.
Right.
Listennotes.com is probably the most effective, the best search engine out there for podcasts.
Very good.
Matchmaker.fm has more tools to use to make connections with other podcasters
Okay.
and to feature your own podcast. So you can use it not only to find podcast guests, but you can also use it to be, to find podcasts to be on as a guest.
Right.
So you can use it both ways, to find guests for your podcast and to feature yourself as a potential guest for other podcasters.
Yeah.
And both of them are free to use. Both of them are free to get your listing up as a podcaster or as a potential guest in Matchmaker FM.
Mm-hmm.
Listen Notes only features people podcasts. They don't list potential guests.
I see.
But obviously, a lot of people use Listen Notes to find potential guests because they're looking for people who are podcasting in the topic area that they want to feature
Right.
a guest. But both of those are wonderful. But even beyond that, I think you can use a good ChatGPT script or something like that to dig deeper into the search engine, a Google search engine, to find other potential people that might want to feature your book.
Sure. Good.
And that's one of the ways that I think you can really start to look and find people, because one of the key things is you got to find people with an audience that would like to interview you.
Yes. Yes.
And and most authors are terrible at that.
Yeah.
And that's doesn't say anything bad about them. It's just the reality that it's not that much fun. It's not that glamorous necessarily.
Right.
But if you want to sell your book, you do have to create an opportunity to be featured by people that have an audience.
Sure. Absolutely.
And in today's world, podcasters is still a major feature of it. In fact, we saw the evidence in the 2024 presidential election.
Yes.
One of the candidates used podcasters. The other one thought, okay, I just have to pay Oprah $1 million and she'll get me my votes.
Mhm.
And the reality is, in today's world, the podcasters have much more influence.
Yep.
And, and that, Trump demonstrated that, and, that's something, whether you agree with him or not, I don't care. But he did a masterful job of finding the target audiences that he wanted to reach, using podcasting as his main tool.
Yes. Yes. Excellent.
And I think that that's still true for uh, us, authors like us. Now, I have one client, John Sorfot, and he's written a science fiction novel for middle readers, for young, teenagers, basically.
Mhm.
But it's actually, I think, would interest anybody. But we were looking at some of the different areas where they might be what kind of podcast would be interested in his book. But curiously, we came up with one category. I didn't come up with another person that he was talking to, conspiracy podcasts,
Mm.
because
That's a
his
good one.
book sort of presented the idea that there were aliens living among us, pretending to be humans and taking over bodies.
Right.
So it would fit in very well with conspiracy lovers. And I hadn't thought of that audience, but it's clear that that is a good audience, a potential audience for him.
And you know where
So
you find those aliens?
what's
They're
that
Uber
now?
drivers. Uber drivers.
Oh,
That's good.
but the cool thing is that is he's actually doing a podcast interview tonight, so he can't be here. But he was it was a conspiracy podcast, and they wanted to talk to him. Now, the neat thing is he qualifies not only because he wrote that book, but he used to work for the NSA. So, he's got sort of two qualifications, the book and his past experience with the NSA, to talk to conspiracy and UFO podcasters. Yeah. Uh-oh. I can't hear you.
John, can you hear me? It's Frank.
Yes, I can hear you. I can't see you because your picture isn't working for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know. I tried to get the picture on. Is there something yeah, I see a camera. I hit camera and it just goes to my name.
That's because it's probably not finding your camera.
Huh.
It did that with mine. It couldn't find my camera when I was signing in tonight. In my case, it was real easy. I just had to plug in the camera.
Oh, well, no, I have a camera that works. The camera light's not on. I don't know why that is, but
Yeah, so somehow it's not seeing it.
yeah, let's see.
And sometimes when you log in, you have
Okay,
to.
my camera light's on but now I get a camera with a slash on it.
Yeah, I see that.
So I'm not sure. But anyway,
But
regardless of my
anyway,
tech,
I can hear you.
yeah, that's great. I'm glad you can hear me. I do have a few questions if you're ready.
Yes.
Oh, great. So I have actually written 3 books, but they're manuscripts and I've not got them out yet. So that's really where I need the help, is to get it to the next level. I'm having a hard time birthing. I'm not letting the birth happen, the baby go. So,
Okay.
but I have spent a few years just fine tuning. I think they're really good books. I have one on the science of infinity,
Okay.
and from a spiritual philosophical perspective,
Okay.
and then I have another book on health, on veganism. I
Okay.
called it Plant Powered Enlightenment. And then I
All
have a
right.
third book as well. So, anyway, interesting books. Um, but what would you suggest as really a good game plan to put those into works? I'm a good public speaker. I'm an award-winning public speaker, so I got that one down.
Right.
And but I really don't know what to do next with the content.
Well, you could possibly sell the rights to a publisher. There are probably, 10 to 20 publishers in the country, small to mid-size, that might be interested in the book. But then you're waiting a year. And if you don't
Then
want to
what?
wait a year, well, you have to wait a year. If they accept your manuscript, it takes about a year for a publisher to get your book out.
I see.
That's just the way they do business. So you really don't have much choice in that.
Well, and
If
correct
you
me if
sell
I'm
the rights
wrong.
to a publisher, but I would suggest that you actually think about publishing it on KDP and or on Ingram Source.
England source.
Ingram,
Oh, Ingram. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
INGRAM.
Ingram. Yeah. Okay.
You could actually, in today's world, you could actually probably do it through KDP and even still sell the book through bookstores. There was a time when bookstores resisted any book from Amazon that was published via, Amazon. But I think
Yes.
that's less true now. And I think that it's possible that you don't have to necessarily go through Ingram Source. You could publish via KDP, ebook, paperback, and even a hardcover if you want to. And as I was
And
saying earlier, and I'm not sure if you heard me, with KDP, you can also do an AI generated voice reading of your book. So you could actually release an audio book as well.
yeah, that would be great.
Now, the thing is that for doing the print book, you need to have a PDF version of the book.
Yes, I understand that.
Or for doing an ebook, they actually prefer, you can do it as a Word document. You cannot do it as a PDF, but you could also use a program that Kindle gives to you free called Kindle Creator
Uh-huh.
that will format your book for Kindle as an
Oh,
ebook.
okay.
Only as an ebook. You still have to, if you want the print book, paperback and hardcover, you would have to do it as a PDF.
I got it.
But that's not that hard to do. I mean, if you created your books in Microsoft Word, and if you format it in Microsoft Word as a book, you can then save it as a PDF and publish it that way.
Okay, good.
Now, if you're not comfortable formatting your book, you might need to hire somebody to format the book for you.
Right. Right.
It's not a simple, well, I'll just put a few lines here and do this and that and have it translate well as an ebook or as a PDF.
I see. Yeah.
Uh, there's one thing that happens for sure with ebooks. If you don't know how to format in Word, you do it like a typewriter and you hit a lot of carriage spaces.
Yeah.
uh, you're going to have a big empty spaces in your ebook.
Oh, got
It's
it.
gonna look very unprofessional. So whenever you want to start a new chapter or a new page, you don't hit carriage return until you get up to a new page. You have to actually format it using the formatting rules of Word.
Got it.
Word allows you to format to start a new page and things like that. And if you don't know how to do that, you can probably hire somebody on Fiverr or one of the other uh, websites that would allow you to and do it fairly inexpensively.
Yeah.
There are some people that are really good at formatting. The thing is that there are people that I've seen that think they're good at formatting and are not.
Right. Right.
So
So, John,
part of that,
let me ask you, do you think I have a 300-page book now? It can easily be divided into 3 books of about 100 pages each. Which is better, the 300 or the 3 books at 100 pages each?
nonfiction or fiction.
Nonfiction.
Okay, 3 different subjects or
Personal growth. Um, so
now you mentioned the 2 books, the one on veganism and the one on forget the title right now.
Infinite Self.
Infinite Self.
They're philosophy spiritual books.
So the Infinite Self, you're thinking of breaking into 3 books?
Yeah.
You could do that. Uh, there's 2 reasons you might want to do it. Well, there are probably a dozen reasons why you might want to do it that way, and a few reasons why you wouldn't want to do it that way. The neat thing is that it gives you 3 books to sell instead of 1. And you can sell each book at a less expensive price point than you would if you had a 300-page book. And in today's world, there are a lot of people that would rather have a quick read than a too long a read.
So the
Basically,
market
do
is for the
both.
quick read.
What's that, David?
Basically, do both. Have your 300-word book and have 300-word books.
Well,
Some
and
people want
the
longer.
reality is you can actually do both. You could start by releasing the 300-page books and then 3 or 4 months later release the collected works as a 300-page book.
Oh, I see.
There are different strategies on how you would do that. But if you're going to release 3 books, then you'd have to have 3 different titles. You would call it part of a series, but each book would have its own title, however you wanted to do it. I mean, you could say the science of the infinite self, the philosophy of the infinite self, and the practical applications of the infinite self, or something like that.
Uh-huh.
Again, I don't know your book, so I don't know how
Yeah.
you would break it down, but theoretically, that's one way you can break it down.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
And or the philosophy and the practical application, and then the some other title for the third book, something like that. Again, if it fits well, then yeah. But again, you could even do, if you didn't want to break it down into 3 books of 100, then you could break it into 2 books of 160 or something like that.
Or something like that. Are book
There
tours
are a lot
still
of ways to
popular?
do that. Just a minute, Frank. One of the things that
Sure.
I often recommend people do is, if you have a large book, my Write a Bestseller in 30 Days or Less is a 217-page book right now. It's going to be a few more pages than that before I get done. But it's quite possible, especially using Amazon Kindle, to excerpt part of a book to a 30-page book as an ebook,
Oh, I see.
and sell that separately, and then as a lead-in. So you could sell that for $1.99 or 99 cents, something like that. So generally speaking, anything under $2.99, Amazon buyers basically think of it as free.
I see.
So you could do that, and then that gets them to buy in. And again, you can't do a cheap 30-page book. It's got to have good content. If all you're doing is doing a 30-page book that's got all the bad content from the larger book, it's not going to help sell your larger book. So you have to do something where it actually encourages people to look further into the larger book, and then the even larger book. And then ultimately, I presume you'll be teaching a course on it.
Yes.
And
I actually have a course that I put together for this summer in New Mexico that I'll be teaching.
Okay. Where in New Mexico? Are you in New Mexico?
No, I'm in California, but New Mexico at the Llama Foundation.
Okay.
Do you know Llama
Yeah.
Foundation?
I do.
Yeah. Yeah, fantastic place. I spent the last 3 summers there as a steward.
Okay. My wife and I used to live in Taos, so we've gone there more than once for different events.
Oh, great. Yeah. Fantastic place.
And so, that could be it. But you will want to at some point do an online course that you're going to sell for $300, $500, or $1,000, something like that.
Right.
And for that, the book, that you have, the 300-page book, it would be worth $300 to $1,000 for people that were really interested in the subject to be taught by you.
Right.
Now, I know the Llama Foundation probably would never charge that much for anything they do, but or maybe they do, but the things I went to were all free, so I don't know. Or low cost. I think maybe we did a donation or something. But you want to do a high enough price to set a value to it for people that would really, you do a 12 lesson course or 20 lesson course or 10 lesson, whatever it might be. And you charge $300 to $1,000 depending on, what you're doing and what kind of value you think it's worth.
I see. Yeah.
I mean, if you're teaching people how to access their infinite self, I can tell you quite honestly, that's worth $20,000, $30,000.
You would think so.
Yes, or 100,000.
Right.
But of course, I wouldn't pay you 100,000 unless you had some great testimonials.
Right. Of course.
Because I
I
would want to know that if I was going to spend 100,000 or even 10,000, that there's, I'm going to get results.
right.
It's one thing to teach the theory of the infinite self. It's another thing to teach how to attain the infinite self.
Yeah. Well, my theory is pretty easy. I'll tell you in 1 minute. It's if the most powerful element in the world is light, there's nothing more powerful than light itself. And if we consume predominantly light through a plant-based diet, we start to transform into a higher consciousness. We vibrate at a different rate. We think at a different rate. Our body responds at a different rate. And these are all scientifically known and seen
Yeah.
when someone experiences what this plant-based diet can do for an individual. So
Okay.
that's why I call it either plant-based spirituality or a few other names that I have for the title.
Okay. So, obviously, if you're going to sell a course for probably anything over $300, you're going to have some really good testimonials.
Yeah, I actually do. I have John Robbins, Dr. Michael Clapper. Those are two of the leading physicians and people
Yeah,
in this
but
space right.
just one thing, they're fine, but do they have a personal testimonial? It's one
Yeah,
thing to say, that Frank speaks really well and he does great work and, I really like what he's doing. It's another thing to say, Frank changed my life.
right. Right. They're very good testimonials.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because what you want is them to say, Frank changed my life and here's how he did it. And I am so thankful that he lives here on the earth with me. Something
There you,
like that. I don't know quite what, but
yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah.
Wasn't there a movement a few years ago, the knives and fork movement,
Yeah.
and that was vegan or vegetarian, right?
Yeah. It was vegan. Uh-huh.
Plant-based anyway.
Yeah. Forks over knife.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Forks over knife. Meant you should use a fork to eat instead of a knife to be cut up in a surgery. That's what it
Yeah.
meant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Forks over knives.
Well, David and I are going to raise some coffee. Is coffee okay?
Absolutely.
I used almond milk.
Oh, fantastic. Good for you. That's great. Yeah, when people ask me, I tell them the worst food you can eat is milk. That's the worst because it has the most amount of fat, the most amount of cholesterol, the most amount of pesticides, herbicides, and hormones that the animals are given to produce so much milk these days. So if you talk about a polluted substance that we're eating, that's number one.
Yeah. So Roy joined us. Anyway, so hi, Roy.
No,
So Frank, that's some questions. Did you have a second question you said you had? Or did I cover it?
Well, yeah, what are you seeing as the best way to launch a book now, a new book?
Well, to
Are they
me,
doing trailers like book trailers?
they don't work that well.
Um,
You'd have to be consistently doing a video every day for a while to get a video to pop. Just one book trailer and putting it out into the universe, unless you got a lot of people sharing it, isn't going to produce any results for you.
Ah, what's producing results?
It just disappears among the, I don't know how many YouTube videos are out there now. It's probably at least 100 million.
Right.
So you either have to do one of two things. One is you have people saying, go check out this book, watch this trailer, and you'll be convinced that you need to read the book and buy it. Something like that. And so they send their traffic to you, to that video, and the video sells the book. Most book trailers I've seen don't really sell the book. They're just a nice author ego stroke.
I see.
Good job, John. Good job.
Yeah.
And
Right.
it doesn't sell the book, and very few people see the book or see the trailer. So the one thing you could do is where you do a consistent every day for a month, you're releasing a new video.
Oh,
And I'm going to give you guys a tip on that. How many of you subscribe to the Microsoft products? I pay about $110 a year, $125 a year to
I
have
do.
automatic
Yeah.
updates of Word and PowerPoint and Access and so
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
They have a new program in that group called Clip Champ. Clip, like in clipping your hair, and champ, like champion. It creates videos, and it actually does a pretty good job. And it's actually quite easy. It's not as easy to use as I would like, but it's quite possible to create a new video every day using that in less than a half hour. So you could
Wow.
try that. That's Clip Champ. And they actually you can do it. One of the ways you can do it is you can use their AI voices, which are actually good, to read one page of your book every day for a month and release them as
what was
YouTube videos.
what was that about
or
every day? What is that every day? Every day
every
of the
day
month?
release one page of your book.
Oh,
And have them the AI voice read it. So the AI voice, you can create an AI voice video in a very short period of time using Clipchamp. And their voices, I think, are good. I'm going to showcase a couple videos that I created for clients, a couple novelists in a newsletter probably this weekend. And then I'm also going to, with my Write a Bestseller in 30 days or less, I'm going to be releasing one chapter a day for a while as a video using
very
Clipchamp.
good.
And the thing there is that you build up momentum. And ideally, you would do it in such a way that you released it possibly on YouTube, but you also possibly join TikTok if you don't belong to it and release it on TikTok.
John, when you say a bestseller, are you talking Amazon bestseller?
No, I'm not talking. I don't know. Oh, write a bestseller in 30 days or less. I'm talking about a book that people would want to buy.
Yeah.
And it could be an Amazon bestseller, but I really like to think of it as a real world bestseller. There are so many people who claim to have an Amazon bestseller that didn't sell more than 10 books.
Yeah.
It's
But
a category.
they were number 10 in a sub category on
Yeah.
Amazon.
That's right.
Right. Well,
And
I know that
I think
might be
that's-
cheating, but isn't that a good, isn't that that a good way if you can get that to put it on your book
No,
as a bestseller?
not an
No?
Amazon bestseller. Most of the people in the book industry and in the internet world know that an Amazon bestseller doesn't mean anything anymore because too many
I
people
see.
have claimed it.
Oh, well, that's
And
good to know.
so I'd rather be a bestseller in my local bookstore, a tattered cover bestseller, or the bookworm bestseller, or whatever your bookstore is in your town.
I see.
Or a statewide bestseller.
Very good. Okay, well, that's
I
good
had
to
a
know.
friend that wrote a book. It was called A Heart Healthy Cookbook, and she sold over 30,000 copies in Iowa.
Wow.
She was the second best-selling book in Iowa for that year. The best-selling book in Iowa is the Bible.
Wow. How did she do that?
She was on every radio show, newspaper in the state. She just hustled.
Wow.
And for 1 year, she just specialized on sell, sell, sell in my state.
Wow.
And it worked for her, she really did create a sensation for her state. And then she got on QVC and became the best-selling book author on QVC for a number of years.
Wow.
She sold millions of books.
Oh,
In fact,
amazing.
she had a contract with one of the big New York publishers, and the contract said the first 6 months of this book are only going to be sold on QVC, and then you get to bring it to bookstores.
Wow.
And the publisher said, yeah, go ahead. And the publisher actually paid her an extra $20,000 to do her own PR because she was so good at it.
Wow.
So,
Nice.
and she was happy to do it. But she originally self-published the book and then sold the rights to Putnam out of New York. And she ended up publishing, I think, about 10 or 12 books with Putnam.
So
And they were
do you
happy with her.
to create your bestseller, do you have a system? Because when I read your book, which was a few years ago, but I still refer to it, there were different ways to get a lot of sales.
Right.
Has that changed at all at this point?
Well,
with the way
yes.
the market works?
There's a lot of things that have changed. For example, in today's world, a newspaper book review is probably not going to help you sell a lot of books. Almost every newspaper in the country has about half the readership it had 10 or 20 years ago. I think I read somewhere that the Washington Post is down like 90% from what it was 10 years ago.
Wow.
So, that doesn't work as well. You don't have Oprah on every day, so you don't have that Oprah effect that you used to have. She can still sell books if she likes a book and interviews you for her Super Soul Sunday whenever she's doing that. She's not always doing it, but I think she's still doing some of that. And you would be great, Frank, on Super Soul Sunday. I think she would love you for the vegan-based, lifestyle.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't know if she's vegetarian or vegan, but she would appreciate what you have to offer as part of that. But there are a number of ways that you can still very effectively sell books. One is online interviews with podcasters, um, summits. You know, if somebody's doing a summit in your area, you know, your category, your topic, try to get invited to be a guest on it. Uh, the summits can be very, very effective. And, you know, if nobody's doing a summit in your area, you create a summit and you invite 10 best-selling authors to be guests on your summit. A summit is essentially just a week-long or weekend-long webinar series of interviews with people.
Yeah. Interesting.
But, you know, one of the qualifications that you would make is that if I'm going to interview you or have you speak in my summit, you have to promote the summit to your audience.
Yes.
And that could be very effective. A second way that you can promote, obviously, it's still effective to get on national TV. There, quite honestly, I think there's less availability of spaces for authors on national TV than there used to be. But national
Say
TV
that again.
still, there are less spaces,
National
there are less
TV.
opportunities to
Less
be
spaces.
interviewed
Uh-huh.
on national TV than there were 10 years ago. But
Yeah.
if you do get interviewed, say on the Today Show or Good Morning America or something like that, it can have a great impact on the sale of your book. And it can also encourage bookstores to stock your book and to carry it. And,
Very good.
you know, just proving that you're a media friendly author will encourage bookstores to be part of that category. A third way, Frank, is one you've talked about is speaking, going out there and speaking, being invited to speak at vegan conferences and so on, whatever your topic is. And, you know, boy, the speaking gigs during COVID dried up, but they're coming back now. So,
Yeah.
you know, that's a possibility, you know, that you could be invited to speak at different groups. And it was always a very effective way for me for many years to speak at different writers' conferences and publishing conferences around the country. I sold a ton of books that way.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously other product as well. So speaking is still very effective, but you do have to, you know, get invited to places or create your own events to be invited, you know, something like that. One other thing that I really, really like, and I got to skip over to my website, bookmarketingbestsellers.com. And there's a page there, and I'm going to it's a page on how to work with the online newsletters. Let me see where it is. Okay. Pitch your book story to book industry publications. And I'm going to, that's on my website. It's under book publicity things. And I'm going to put it into the chat, the link. And send it hopefully to everyone. Okay. See what we got here. Everyone, there we go. There's the link.
Oh, good.
You can click
I
on
got
it
it.
and it'll take you there. But there are book industry publications that if you have distribution in bookstores or your book is available through Ingram so bookstores can order it, you want to promote your book in Shelf Awareness. It's a daily newsletter email newsletter that goes out to bookstores and publishers, authors, librarians, and so on. There's also a publisher's lunch, and I give you links to them all. There's also the publisher's weekly newsletter magazine, but they also have a bunch of email newsletters. And again, there's links there to that. And there's also Book Selling This Week newsletter. The one I like best of those is Shelf Awareness. It's published out of Seattle. It's really good because the neat thing about these organizations is that it's not, they do book reviews and they actually do author interviews as well, but they also do other kinds of stories. Like if you do an author event at a bookstore, get some pictures taken and have the bookstore send it in to publishers, to Shelf Awareness and Publishers Lunch, saying, hey, we had a great event with this author. He's incredible to work with, or she really tells great stories. They also do rights sales. So if you're selling any kind of rights, they like that. If you're doing any kind of PR, if you've released a new book trailer, they like that kind of stuff. They like that kind of news. And so if you click through, I would recommend that you subscribe to these. They're free to subscribe to. And then just check out what all they cover. And if you go to that link there in the chat, and when I repost this video for everybody on my list, I will make sure that the link is in the post so that you can see it, for those of you who did not attend live. But those publications are so incredibly valuable, especially if you're selling to bookstores or you want to, because they love authors, they love books, and they love featuring interesting stories about publishers and authors and the events that they're doing and the PR that they're doing and the sales that they're making and so on and so forth. So let's say that you have your book and you sell the rights, the German language rights. Let these newsletters know.
I see.
That's news in the publishing industry. I would let Publishers Weekly know. They have a rights columnist that talks about rights that have been sold.
Oh, it's good
Yeah,
to know.
David.
Excuse me a second.
Yeah.
I just have to leave. Sorry. Thanks. Very interesting, but thank you.
Okay.
I'll catch up with that link later.
All right.
Cheerio.
Thanks a lot.
Bye, David.
Bye.
Okay. And Roy, did you have any questions?
I have a whole bunch of questions, but
That's fine.
Yeah.
You know, I was taking the questions from Frank because they were good questions that would apply to a lot of
They
people.
were good questions. I'm intrigued by these newsletters and different places that, like you say, that catch on to interesting different things that are going on. And
Yeah.
you know, I'm doing 3 books at a time.
Okay.
Chipping away at them. One of them is my CIA book about the Hughes Nomar Explorer from 1979. I'm republishing it, adding some more information about Howard Hughes and his part of it as a shill, and updating some information and giving it a brand new cover, but making sure they know it's second edition, that it's, you know, not the original, but it's upgraded.
Right.
So I want to get that out, and then
The
I want to use
2025 edition.
Yeah. And then I want to use that book as kind of a lost leader for my Coast Guard book that I'm trying to get out. And
Okay.
that one is really a bigger book in the sense that I think I can get the Coast Guard behind me to help promote it. And I think I can get Gary Sinise Foundation that promotes a lot of military stuff and people like that. So I have huge potential
And the
to-
Coast Guard has its own bookstores, doesn't it?
Yeah, it has a website. It has its own PX, so at different places.
PXs, yeah.
Yeah, they've got 11 locations, 11 stations, and each one has a PX. And
Okay.
anyway, so that big one is coming up. But I also have my coaching legacy book that I'm building. I want to get out in March or so to promote
Okay.
my coaching business, and that's a kind of a different kind of a thing. But you kind of opened my eyes to if you know all the places that would be good to post what you've got, then you just build your package of what you're going to post, and you sit down every day and you got a log and you chip it off. You just go 1, 2, 3, 4, and go to these places and make sure you're doing something every day to get the word out.
Yeah.
And that seems laborious, but if you want to be an author and build your following and
Right.
do something serious with a book, I really want the Coast Guard book to get some serious exposure. I'm not as concerned about the money because I want to take a portion of the money and give it to a fund for helping Coast Guard families whose
Okay.
Coast Guard member has been hurt or killed, and I want to also discount it to Coast Guard members. I want them to get a break on the book so they can all afford to read it. So it's more an honor thing that I want to honor the Coast Guard and raise
Right.
people's appreciation of these good Samaritans that go out and risk their lives for any of us.
So
Thank you, Roy. That's good work. Thank you, Roy.
Thank you.
So, Roy, one of the things to do with something like that, let's say that you were creating a video a day because you're doing a page a day, video or something like that,
Yeah,
using something like Clipchamp. You
right.
could, one of the things to do to help people find your books is to call it the the Coast Guard series or, something with the words Coast Guard in it.
Yeah,
Uh, I'm a big NFL football fan, and one of my favorite podcasts to watch, it's actually a video cast, is the O-line committee. And it's two offensive linemen that give you the insight of NFL football games from the perspective of the people that are in the trenches.
yeah,
And so I really like it, but they call it the O-line committee, and everything is based off of that. So you could do something about the Coast Guard Honor Guard or the Coast Guard whatever, Coast Guard Honors series or whatever you want to do, and you start featuring videos that honor the Coast Guard because that's what your book was about anyway.
yeah. I never thought of it.
But make sure Coast Guard is in the every keyword in every
Yeah,
video you release.
yeah, absolutely.
Just like Frank would do that with the vegan lifestyle or plant food, whatever.
Well, I still intend, if you're still open, to hook up with you and get your guidance. But
Right.
I've got to get the book a little farther along and in a
That's fine.
position that I can start actually the pre-sale and the setup and the marketing and
Yeah.
building things. Uh, I've got a website started. I want to do a trailer in it. The reason is that I've got um, video from the Coast Guard of the actual rescues.
Right.
And I think if I did it right, even just 60 seconds, but if I did it right, it would show how intense and how dangerous it was and how frozen everything was and all this stuff. I think it would trigger some interest and use that in different things. But the idea of a daily or regular, maybe 3 times a week, I don't know, whatever I can manage to do, but a regular live experience that I can post various places so people will sign up for it and get a following
Yeah.
for that. So when the book comes out, you got a few hundred copies right there to get some activity and kick things off. But
One of the, again, one of the things there is if you're doing videos as a strategy and you're releasing a video 5 days a week or something like that, you can create all the videos on Sunday and then release them Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
right,
Friday. In fact, I would do something like that because once you get into the swing of creating the video, you can create a second one and a third one and a fourth one.
yeah,
And Roy, actually, if you used a Clip Champ, you could use as a background video the rescue video that you have. And then you have the AI voice reading, a page of your book, or 5 paragraphs or something like that. And do that every day. And you could have the same background video every time.
that's a really interesting idea. Um, one of the
And
things I want to do is I want to use the actual Coast Guard people that were on the mission, and there's still a handful of them hanging around inside
great. You
Coast
should
Guard and
you
some
should
outside. So
interview them.
when you're talking about publicity and getting out and promoting and have speaking opportunities, I would much rather put one of those guys in that speaking opportunity to promote the story and just vary the people, rotate among them, give them a chance to
Yeah,
get some exposure, which will make them feel good about it, and not make me the busy guy running around doing all the interviews because I'm just a scribe for what happened. I wasn't in the mission.
right.
And I know Gary Sinise would like that very much. He likes to see people talk about what they're doing and all that. It's a powerful story on its own, and I don't need to get in the way. I need to be transparent and let the story, more or less tell itself. Because
For something like that, you could easily, again, interview each of these people yourself as part of a podcast
right,
that you create or a video series that you create. And again, let's say that you interview somebody and you spend a half hour interviewing them. You could take that half hour interview and release it all at once, but you could also break it up into 2-minute interview segments.
yeah,
And then you have 10 or 15 videos you can release.
absolutely, yeah. If I really get that organized and do a handful of those things, like you say, and then break them up into little clips, tie
Yeah.
that into each video that I'm putting out there, make the videos easier, and make it whole lot better and more interesting to people than the author sitting there telling you about the story. It's the people involved in the story itself that's important.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
And so, what I'm trying to get across in a sense is use the kind of video that would work best for you to reach out to people with the story you have to tell, whatever it might be. In your case, interviewing those people using Zoom or Meetn can be a very effective tool to share with people,
absolutely.
and it's not that hard nowadays. I just found an interesting tool, and I'm going to tell people about it. There's a video program out there that plays videos for you if you want. It's called VLC Media Player, and I'll just VLC. It's a free download. Did I spell that right? Yeah, I guess I did. Okay. VLC Media Player, and it's a free download. But I discovered that there's this real neat thing that they've offered now. It's a new feature. At least I hadn't known it as a feature, but it allows you to do simple edits of any video down to the split second to the next split second that you want to do it in. and then it's in a function in the menu called convert and save. So you can actually save it. And I'm going to do a video about using VLC to edit videos. I'll post it to the newsletter soon. But I really think it's a neat tool and the best video editing thing out there in terms of, just going from one minute to
Yeah.
another minute, however long segment you want. And it's really finely controlled. I really like it. I've had some other video editors where it was much harder to do, but this one was just so simple.
Well, I've always used Wondershare Filmora and kept up to date on that. And you drop your video in, and you can cut it up, and you can fade in and out, and you can. But it's work. It's not as simple as some of these new things that have come out. And it sounds like this one may be one of those that there's only a few things you need to do. You need to separate it at the right point.
Yeah.
It gives you the right timing to flow into it and to flow out of it. And you might
Yeah.
need to cut it up in the middle. You might need to cut away and show an image while you're talking about something. So it's very, very
Yeah,
simple set of editing.
for me, its main function is to take pieces and edit them out of a video while still maintaining the original video.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. It's not really an editing program in the sense of fade in and out, cut in the middle and put in something else.
But it's little
But
clips.
you can,
Yeah.
so you can just do clips.
Yeah.
Now, if you wanted to take those clips and then add it into another editing program that allows you to fade in and out or put something in the middle, that's a separate thing.
Yeah.
But it's very effective at doing the cutting
Yeah.
into little snippets.
I wanted to ask you why you went to Meetn instead of Zoom.
Because my friend created it. I wanted to support him. And
Why is it better and why is it not?
one of the reasons it's better is you don't have to download a program. There have been so many times when I've had a Zoom meeting with somebody and suddenly Zoom wants to update and I'm waiting 5-10 minutes for it to update before I can get on. I was supposed to be on at such and such time and I can't get on because they're updating the program. This one is all totally online, so there's nothing to download to your computer.
Yeah, it seems to work pretty good.
And so, I like it for, that reason. It allows you to, record, as we're doing now. So I'm hosting this seminar, we're recording it. And, and again, then once I've recorded it, I can break it down into pieces if I want to. And I might do that and release, like 5 or 10 videos out of this.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it looks good. I just had never heard of it. But,
And and it has a chat, and you can also do show your screen share just like you can in Zoom. So it
right.
has almost all the features of Zoom and even a stream manager. So
Yeah, I
if
wondered
you
what
want to
that
stream
was.
it on Facebook and things like that, there's a function called Stream Manager that allows you to set that up.
That would be very good. And where does the
And
recording go?
it's the recording is actually within my administrative portal, and then I download the video. I can download video and audio at the same time.
Is it recorded
separately.
on your computer or on their cloud?
It does it on their cloud, and then I download it to my computer.
Okay. Okay. That's interesting. I'll follow. What's the guy's name that is behind this?
I'm going blank on his name now. Sorry.
Well, I'll find out. I'll check it out.
He started many years ago with a program called Instant Teleseminar. And I used that program for quite a while back in the day when almost all content was audio, not video.
Yeah.
This is before YouTube. And so I would do webinar series and so on using Instant Teleseminar. And I'm just going blank on his name right now.
That's
Sorry.
right. It
But he's a
happens to
wonderful
me. Yeah.
he's a wonderful person, and I just really wanted to support him. So, and I knew that he would create a good program.
Well, I have issues with Zoom for different things and at time to time. And, this looks like it might be worth checking out, really,
Yeah,
and play with it. I noticed that it puts a little green glow around the person speaking.
yeah.
So that's interesting. And it has a big layout here. I'm going to get out of chat and
So you can share the screen, and I forget some of the other things you can do, but I really like it. If you do decide to sign up, tell them I sent you.
oh,
I
I
think
will.
I get some sort of referral thing.
Absolutely.
uh,
Is it
but
a
I
month?
like it.
Is it a
It's
monthly fee?
it's monthly, or you can do annual.
Yeah.
I do it monthly. It's taken out of my credit card once a month.
Yeah.
It's like $8 or $9 a month.
Super.
And
Well,
you
I
know,
was very interested in what you said about the Amazon bestseller is so overdone. So many people have it,
yeah,
and half the time their books are not any good anyway. So it
yeah,
doesn't mean they're wonderful books. They just picked a category that's low competition, and
right.
maybe they stole keywords from their competitors and got ahead. But I was in an anthology with Ray Brim, success story thing. I wrote a chapter. There were, I don't know, 18 of us, and it went bestseller in like 10 categories. Okay, 10 niche categories.
Yeah,
But I've never used it. I've never used that phrase because I didn't. I just don't respect that. For me to have one little chapter of, I don't know, 5, 6 pages, the thing goes bestseller, but that doesn't mean I'm an Amazon bestseller. I was in an
yeah.
anthology.
I've had some friends that created true Amazon bestsellers. They were like #1 or #2 in all of Amazon
Yeah,
books for a number of days. Now that I could, I'm really comfortable with you calling
yeah,
yourself an Amazon bestseller. If
yeah,
you're in the top 10 or 20 of all of Amazon books, you know, that's worth touting.
yeah,
But if you're in a sub category, uh, to me, it
yeah.
cheapens it.
It
And in
does.
fact, if I were going to claim to be an Amazon bestseller, I would want to say exactly what point I reached on the Amazon bestseller
Well,
list
I would
of
like to
all.
take a screenshot of being #1 and show that #2 and #3 were recognizable authors,
Yes,
so that you beat somebody that they know is a best-selling and a good author.
yeah,
That would have some impact, and you could use that in your advertising. Let me
yeah.
ask you. Yeah.
One of my clients did a children's book. It was a Christmas book of photography he had taken of deers coming up to a snowman and interacting with it. And he was #1 bestseller on the New York Times list above Harry Potter
Wow.
for a number of weeks. Now
That's
that's worth
purposeful.
saying, hey, we're special.
If I publish a book like my risk level 10 for the Coast Guard, if I publish that on Amazon and England Sparks, how many books would I need to sell to get Penguin or Random House or somebody interested in picking it up and wanting to go big with it and print it?
You probably have to sell 5 to 10,000.
Okay.
Now, if you sold 1,000 in a week and you approached them right then and said, I want you to take it over, maybe they would say, okay, you got momentum, we'll do it.
Well, I think what's going to happen with mine is that I'm going to get a bunch of sales from Coast Guard, pre-sale, or right when it publishes.
Yeah.
So that might affect a publisher to say, well, it's probably mostly Coast Guard people. So, but if you get 10,000, that's a lot. There's only 44,000, 42,000 Coast Guard, and they're not all going to buy the book anyway. They're going to pass it around and share it.
Right.
So if I
And,
got,
but ideally, you hope that with like the Coast Guard, that family members and cousins and grandparents buy the book.
right,
Because their loved one is a Coast Guard person.
especially for the people that are in the story, whose name
Yeah,
actually
for
appears in the
them
book.
especially, you would
Yeah.
hope that all their family members go out and buy a copy.
But
Uh,
10,000 would be a good place to shoot. I mean, that'd be a good goal.
yes. Now, when like Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen first came out with Chicken Soup for the Soul, I got a free autographed copy from them, and I bring it home. My wife reads it, and suddenly I'm on the hook for 10 more copies.
Ah,
She wants to buy it for all her friends. So that
That's
damn
cool.
free book cost me a lot of money.
yeah, right. But that multiplier effect is important. Yeah, if you
Yeah.
make that as one of your marketing campaign things. Well, I'm really going to hook up with you and get your help. I want to finish it. It has come to me that I've got to finish this manuscript, and then it's going to take a while to run it through reviewers and get feedback from the people that were in it, and to correct it for terminology or whatever.
Right.
And so that's going to take 6 weeks, 2 months anyway. So I have plenty
Yeah.
of time to start pre-selling when I finish the book, because I want to finish it and get it to the Coast Guard and get it to a handful of key people and a handful of people that review. I want to get it to Lloyd Bridges. Bless his heart, he lost his home in the fire recently, but he was a Coast Guard guy. I interviewed Arnold Palmer before he passed, and he was the most famous Coast Guard guy.
Oh,
And so I'm
wow.
going
I
to try
didn't know
to,
he was in the Coast Guard.
yeah, I'm going to try to get a handful of well-known people say something good about it and get that in my hands before I start pre-selling this thing.
Yeah.
And then finish my site and finish my trailer, my little video clips. And if I'm going to do a video series like you're talking about, yeah, have that series up and ready to start rolling at the same time. So it's a lot of stuff that has to happen, and I don't mind the work, but I really want the story done and build from the strength of a good solid manuscript.
Right.
And everybody that I show it to, the Coast Guard, Gary Sinise, etc., I'm giving them something that's quality, the best I can do anyway. And,
Right.
and that's just a better way to start rather than giving them a chapter and say it's going to be a great book. Will you promote it? They can read it.
Have you talked to Gary about the book?
Not him personally. I've got a contact to the person that is supposed to set up a meeting with me and talk about promoting it. And then
Okay.
I've got to get a hold of the current PAO person at the Coast Guard in Kodiak, where it happened, and also in Washington, D.C. So I've got to follow through, but I wanted to have the manuscript done so that when I talk to them, I could email them the manuscript or overnight it while it's hot in their mind, and then let them, pass it around among a handful of people that would be interested in it. See if I can't generate some really serious interest in promoting it. For number one, to promote the Coast Guard. Number two, to have a profit sharing with the family fund.
Right.
And just number three, to build up to an event that the Coast Guard will set up at their different stations that I want to do. And for Gary Sinise, either maybe I can get them to participate in one of those events, like in Kodiak, where the missions were, or maybe they'll set up an event for me too. And so I want it to be a participatory thing. That's the focus is not me making money. The focus is getting the word out about the Coast Guard, get people more emotionally connected to the idea of the Coast Guard and appreciate them, appreciate the Coast Guard more. They're the
Okay.
Navy's little sister, and when they rescue you, they're a lot more than that. So listen,
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I got to run and
That's
try
fine.
to finally get some sleep this week, but I will follow up on. I got a handful of things you talked about tonight. I want to go investigate and follow up on, but there'll be a
Okay.
lot of help left to give me when I get this going. So I'm thinking middle March, first of March, middle March, that I can get back with you and we can talk about where I am and how to build a great plan and get a couple of months of good hard marketing and promotion and building partners and getting
Okay.
exposure and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
that will be cool. So don't fall
Okay.
off on the ladder or anything between now and then, okay?
That's fine.
Okay.
Roy,
right.
good luck to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So thank you, John. I'll be back to you.
All right. Thanks, Roy.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
John, thank you
For
so
those-
much.
Yeah, just a minute, Frank. Just for those of you who are listening in, Roy is talking about being a member of my 747 consulting group. I charge $747 for 2 months of coaching via email, Meetn, and other phone, whatever works for you. And that's to help you to launch your book and or to continue to launch the book if you want to sign up for additional months, so on. But that's a coaching program that I have. I just wanted to let people know about it. So that's the 747 program. You can find out more about that at bookmarketingbestsellers.com. So Frank, what did you have? You have a question or?
I just wanted to wish you happy birthday again.
Oh yeah, happy birthday.
Absolutely. And thank you for bringing good content to the world. You have definitely done so much to add goodness in the world. We all appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. I just saw that David Lynch died a couple of days ago. The producer and director and so on. And turns out he's only 2 years older than I am.
I'll be at your 100th birthday, buddy.
I plan to be here for that.
Okay, good. Good. Just walk every day and eat well. Try to eat more light.
Right.
Yeah.
I try to do that. Yes. So thanks a lot for attending, and thanks for everybody that listens in later to this when I put it up on the newsletter and share it as a podcast. Okay.
Okay, buddy. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye for now.